Yeah, that next year for the Boston Celtics looks really weird. So you lost to the New York Knicks in the Eastern Conference semifinals. That's completely fine. But before we even move past that, you go 15 of 60 from 3. You go 10 of 40 from 3. You beat the Knicks by 22. Then you lose game 4. Tatum unfortunately tears his Achilles. But before Tatum tore his Achilles, he had 42. He was hooping crazy. But the Boston Celtics were en route to losing that game. You have Jaylen Brown and Luke Cornett look like Kobe and Shaq in game 5. And then you get blown out in game 6 by 30 plus. There is no reason you should have lost that series. There is absolutely no reason, even without Kristaps Porzingis, and we're going to get into that a bit later, there is no reason why you go 15 of 16, then 10 for 40, and Joe Mazzulla doesn't say, hey, let's go back inside the paint. But then again, Kristaps Porzingis is injured, so you can't actually attack the paint. It's a really weird future for the Boston Celtics. I think, first of all, get rid of Joe Mazzulla for Mike Malone. I'm just throwing out names. I don't know who the Boston Celtics should get, but it has been shown time and time again that when it comes to holding on to leads, Joe Mazzulla cannot do that. He is the Kobe Bryant of blowing leads. How are you up 25-3 at home and the Cavs are looking tired? They're looking pelted. I turn the game off to go play Fortnite. I get third place. I turn the game back on. Why is it 55-55? Jason Tatum saying F out of there, and then y'all go lose that game because Evan Mobley walking you down in the clutch. I don't understand why the Boston Celtics, even with winning an NBA championship, are consistently inconsistent. You were up against the Oklahoma City Thunder, then you have Derek White go 3 of 13 from 3 and not even do anything outside of missing shots. The Boston Celtics think they're the Golden State Warriors, but they're the Boston Celtics, but they don't know who the Boston Celtics are. Why am I talking so fast? I'm talking so fast because as a Boston Celtics fan for 16 years of my life, I'm about to be 20. I've been a Boston Celtics fan since I was 3. Why are we letting teams that are not better than the Celtics get to the Eastern Conference Finals? The Knicks were a team I say were designed to beat the Boston Celtics. Yes, I still agree with that statement, but why are we not utilizing our depth? Why are we not being a 3-level team that can score in the post, that can score in the mid-range, that can score on the outside? Why are we only relying on the outside so much? This is Jason Tatum's team until Jaylen Brown actually goes in the paint and Jason Tatum doesn't. And still, with this Knicks loss, Tatum was not going to play bad for a 7-game series. He finally understood it in game 4. Tears his Achilles. Terrible luck. Boston wasn't going to go 25% from the field the entirety of the series. I'm not saying the Knicks got lucky, but the Celtics, for whatever reason, just play bad even when they have all of the intangibles to play good. And it gets really annoying because I'm still left asking myself, where does this Boston Celtics team go? There are a couple routes we could go. You keep Derek White, you keep Jaylen Brown, you keep Jason Tatum. You trade Porzingis and Holiday, I would say, for picks and younger pieces to develop alongside Tatum, Brown, and White. That is your new core big 3. I don't want Brad Stevens to say, we can get KD, and you get an aging Kevin Durant with Jaylen Brown and Derek White for 1 season, and then maybe retain all 4, even though that's a little hard to do with this second apron. So then you would have White, Brown, Tatum, KD, and Cornett, which is a crazy team, I must admit, if Tatum comes back from his Achilles and he's still in form. But still, I don't want aging superstars. Get younger pieces, get talent you can develop. Boston developed Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum very well. Try to find that again somewhere. I'm not saying go get Jabari Smith Jr. I'm not saying go get John Morant. I'm not saying go get Devin Booker, but get guys that are young and you can develop. And then the Jays can kind of be folded into that mentor role. Think of it as a continual cycle. You got Pierce, you got Garnett. You trade them to Brooklyn. Who do you get? Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Let's just say in 6, 7, 8 years, those guys are going to be 36, 35, 37. You trade both of them to a team, get a bunch of picks back, you get your future back as well. It's a rinse and repeat with the Boston Celtics. Maybe something like that. The other option is trading Jaylen Brown for the first round pick. And you're probably thinking that sounds extremely delusional. Maybe throw in Derek White as well, just for a sweetener. But the Boston Celtics have interviewed Cooper Flagg. Why? Because everybody knows Cooper Flagg would love to play for the Boston Celtics. Every single person knows that. Cooper Flagg knows that. He already went to Duke. You're already getting the Tatum comparisons. Why not, man? I'm not saying trade Jaylen Brown. I'm not saying trade Derek White. If you could somehow get a Porzingis, Holiday, and maybe another piece package for that first round pick, I would say do it. Maybe you do have to throw in Peyton Pritchard, make the Dallas Mavericks a super team. Just think about that for a second. You don't get the first round pick, but you have Kyrie, Clay, AD, Porzingis, Drew Holiday, Peyton Pritchard, and then you have your bench. So Washington, Marshall, Lively, and Gafford. That is absolutely bananas. And then you have guys like Jaden Hardy, and you have other young pieces as well. That's absolutely insane, especially if they have Quentin Grimes, but they don't. But you still have Max Christie as well. Imagine Max Christie mentored by Drew Holiday. That would be absolutely bananas. But still, I'm not advocating for that, but that as the second move if you want your future secured now. But it's a weird situation the Boston Celtics are in. You can't retain your super team because of the second apron. But then it's like, what do you do in the year Jason Tatum's out? Do you tank and get a top 10 pick and just allow Jaylen Brown and Derek White to man the team, steer the ship for about a year and a half before Tatum comes back? Maybe get a young pick, develop him, kind of get a Spurs situation, get a Jason Tatum-like player. Not even a Jason Tatum-like player, just a high draft pick, being a play-in team next year possibly for the Boston Celtics, and then putting a guy in a situation that Jason Tatum was in 2018, where he was drafted to a team that had Kyrie, that had Jaylen Brown, that had Gordon Hayward, that had Smart, that had Morris, that had all those pieces. Maybe do something like that. I have no idea. Maybe trade for Marcus Smart again. I don't know. Look at the Washington Wizards. Maybe package Holiday for Smart and Poole. I don't know. I'm just making things up here. But it's a weird situation the Boston Celtics are in, and I'm very curious to see what they do to figure it out. I think your best options are just trading Holiday and Porzingis for young pieces, looking at teams like the Kings, the Magic, the Rockets, anybody that maybe wants to offshore some of their young talent, maybe Memphis, just guys that have a gold mine of talent that aren't necessarily going to be a contender, or just throw everything for Cooper Flag. Those are like your only two options, but still, I hope they go with option one. Don't want to lose some of those pieces for option two. I'm hearing rumblings of Derek White going to the Golden State Warriors. I have no idea how that's going to work, but still, maybe? I don't know. It's just going to be a crazy free agency. I know that. With that being said, though, guys, that is going to do it for us today. Again, as always, if you enjoy the content, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Follow the Instagram, TikTok, Medium, Twitter, YouTube. Obviously, subscribe to the channel here for more content. Like, comment, share, and subscribe again if you enjoyed the video, and we will see you all in the next one.